Hello and welcome. You're watching Republic TV, and this is a special podcast with Akash Sharma, who is the founder of a Farmley. I'm damn sure whoever is watching out this podcast must have eaten something or a snacks by Farmley. So Akash, thank you for joining us and speaking to us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Akash, let me start off by asking you first important question, and that is, tell us about your journey, because I know that you are from a very humble background, from a very small city of Bharatpur in Rajasthan. From Bharatpur to IIT Delhi, then from IIT Delhi you have worked at several places and then launching Farmley in 2017. How has been the journey so far?
It's been a roller coaster journey. So when I was still in my school, I used to just think that at some point I would want to start my own business. I come from a service class family. My dad used to work in Punjab National Bank, and it was very difficult for me to even think and actually execute my own business at a certain point of time. So when I was in college, I think that was the time when this ideation kind of came to fruitfulness, right? Because a lot of alumni from the college, there was a very large and very vibrant ecosystem in the college which kind of pushed us to starting up on our own. I did, typical 10 year till 10th I was in Bharatpur, 11th, 12th I was in Kota, then I was 4 years in Delhi. Straight after I joined my first business. It was again a startup because I wanted to kind of learn in terms of how the startups grow, what can be done, what can go wrong, things like that. It was in 2015 that I first started up, and the startup name was Delivery King. We ran that for around 9-10 months. I started, of course, with a lot of enthusiasm and optimism, but by the end of those 10 months, I was in a debt of 20 lakhs. The startup had shut down, and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't, of course, have a job to kind of even pay the debt back, right? So at that point of time, I thought, okay, maybe this Kida so-called is over. Let me get back to normal job. My parents, they used to freak out because they used to like, why have you quit your good paying job? Why don't you kind of return back to that, and why such uncertainties? You have already worked so hard to actually get into IIT. Now it's the time to actually reap benefits of that hard work. Why are you working hard again? So for a service class family, it's a very different mindset, right? Exactly. So, but I thought to myself, what are the 3 things that I would ideally want to take out from my last failed stint that I could have done right, that could have resulted in this, that could result in the next startup really going successful. One key thing which I felt was, I need to be there for a longer time with certainty of my finances, that I have enough money that if I don't earn for the next 3 years, I don't have to kind of depend upon anybody else. So I kind of, worked for around a year with a job. I ensured that I have those enough finances. I ensured that I paid back my debt back. And with all those things, I, again started back in 2017. This time, I started up in a field which was very close to my heart. So right. Because I come from very small, like you said, a very small town, right. And we used to have mustard oil farms, right? So we used to sell mustard oil seeds at 15-20 rupee a kg, and I had seen mustard oil seeds to mustard oil processing in my childhood, and how we as farmers could earn potentially 3x, 4x of our otherwise what would have been incomes if we just had continued selling mustard oil seeds. So this was something which I felt we could potentially scale and take to multiple farmers across the country, where we can incentivize them to produce better quality, to process, to have one layer of primary processing at the farm units itself, so that what they give to us, we are able to pay them better, right. And henceforth, kind of also provide a better quality to the end consumers. So with this mindset, we started this up, and what was back then an agri-tech startup, of course, has changed multiple layers, and today is a consumer-facing brand. But at the core of it, we still deal with multiple lakhs of farmers, we deal with multiple importers, we deal with multiple processors, and we are able to drive better incomes to each and every one person that we today deal with. To the end consumers, we are of course a very tasty, healthy snacking brand. People trust us, we are able to deliver on not just the health bit, but also, and more importantly, the taste bit, which is why of course, the consumers also consume us.
Let me dive deep into the flavor of the season, and the flavor of the season ever since the budget is presented is the Makhana. And we all know Finance Minister presented in the budget for Makhana. Last week Prime Minister commented that he consumes Makhana almost 300 days in a year. You are in a business of taste, like supplying tasty makhana snacks. And 90% of makhana is cultivated in Bihar in several districts. Tell me, how do you see the potential of makhana? Because the government is emphasizing a lot on makhana that have a huge export potential and there is a huge demand for it. How do you see the potential of makhana? Do you think that it will be a vardhan or the game changer for Bihar's economy?
200% aligned. I don't think there's any two doubt about it. There are a couple of things which need to be managed and done correctly for this to scale up. So see what has happened just since we started up. So 2017, I'll give you some broad numbers, right? So when we were starting up in 2017 to 2019, the market size of makhana was around 200 to 300 million dollars. Today, in just 5 to 6 years, this market is almost 5 times in number, right? So it is almost standing at $1 billion. Right. Just flavored makhanas is today almost 1,000 CR business, right? So which basically means that the demand is going crazy. People are eating makhanas, and it is not just happening in India, it is happening globally. Because again, it's a product which is only made in India, and the technology of popping the lotus seeds. So of course, just for those who don't know, lotus seeds is what is grown in the ponds, and then the lotus seeds are basically sun dried, then it is popped. There's a process, a very manual process in which from the seeds the makhana is popped. By different manual labor who kind of work on it. So because of this, what is happening is the supplies is a large constraint in the makhana market. So while the farming of the lotus seeds has almost doubled or tripled in the last 4 or 5 years, the capacity of popping has almost remained stagnant. That is, the people who basically pop the seeds into makhana, that is still kind of almost similar to what it used to be 5-6 years back. Which is why the pricing of the makhana, which used to be otherwise, get used to sell 250-300 rupee a kg, is today standing at 1500 rupee a kg. So while the demand has increased by 5 times, the pricing has increased by 5 times, the supply is still constrained because of the popping process. So I think a lot of energies of ours also as a company, and governments also, is going actually into automating this process, so that much better quality of makhanas can really really be sourced, and the demand is going crazy. So in India, the demand is increasing. We also sell in US, we also sell in Canada, everywhere. And from much more organized retail players to unorganized retail players, everybody is now buying raw makhanas as well as flavored makhanas. And one interesting fact is, when we were doing makhanas, everybody used, at least in India, they used to be like, why are you selling flavored makhanas? Our moms, they take raw makhanas, they roast it in in oil in home, in ghee in home, and we eat that. Nobody will buy roasted makhanas if they are this costly. But today, even that growth is happening much faster than the raw makhana growth. So I think that is the flavor of the season. People, at least our generation, wants on-the-go snacking options, and they want to shift from the traditional namkeens, which are fried, which are made in olive oil, and things like that.
In quantitative terms, can you tell us how has been the demand for, specifically talking about the makhana, how there is substantial jump in the demand from various countries and within India as well?
So see, like I said, the total market of makhana stood at around $200 million when we were starting around 7 years back, and today it's almost $1 billion market. In this market, the flavored makhanas, that is the ready-to-eat format, used to be somewhere around minuscule 10, 20, 30 CR, which today stands at almost 1,000 CR number. And this majorly is contributed by India currently. So almost 80-90% of this demand is local. Even in this demand, 90% of the demand is driven by the Gen Zs and the Millenials. That is people who are aged, anywhere below, let's say, 40 years of age. So they are the ones who are consuming this because of the health benefit that makhana intrinsically brings with itself, because it has more calcium, it has more protein, it is much better than eating those fried bhujiyas that traditionally people used to eat. And also what has happened is, now the formats have evolved. So now you also have a 20 rupee, 30 rupee price point makhana, which you can consume just like you would otherwise consume bhujia. Or you also have a 200 rupee format that you could, if you are watching a movie, if you are watching, as a family pack, like you have namkeens, etc., you can consume it in that format also.
Right. And also, we know that you have a factory in Purnia, which is sort of manufacturing only makhana related products. You have visited makhana. Do you think that it is a time that the fortune of the cultivators of makhana is going to change rapidly? Because we see the government has started talking about it. Prime Minister himself has started talking about it. Nitin Kamath has jumped, and he was also talking about it and made it such a big thing. So do you think that fortunes of Bihar's Makhana cultivators is about to take a turn?
Again, 100% aligned. It has already started happening since the past few years now. And I think it is now just more about the fact that how the ecosystem develops, how everybody ensures that they are doing the right bit for the overall ecosystem to develop and prosper. And it is just not falling in a handful of hands. So I think if all those things are done right, on the cultivation side, when we started up, let's say we were procuring from X number of farmers. Today that has almost gone 50 times in number. So we are procuring from almost a lakh farmers now, and we are able to give them better incomes. And what they would otherwise find very difficult to sell, today there are buyers who are kind of queuing up to them, to ask them, which is why this increase of prices, right, from 200 rupiah kg to 1500 rupiah kg, a decent portion of this is actually going into the pockets of the...
Sorry for interrupting, do you expect the prices to go even more, like to go further?
See, it might, but then it would be detrimental to the industry in general, because there is a price point on snacking as a product. If you have to snack something, you probably will not pay more than 40-50 rupiah a pack, right? So it might, but then it will be detrimental. So what we expect is for the reverse to happen, that the supplies pick up pace, so that the prices remain, similar to probably 800, whatever, which is more sustainable in the longer term, wherein farmers also make more money. But at the same time, the industry also kind of consequentially grows to a much larger scale.
Right. Let's talk about your company. You had revenue of 200 crore, then you went up to 500 crores. I was reading somewhere that you have set target for yourself in next 3 years is 1,000 crores. But are you trying to garner that 1,000 crore profit and revenue going forward with whatever offerings you have as of now, or do you going to add more into your bouquet going forward?
So we have different flagship hero products as of now. Flavored Makhanas is one of those products which contributes to roughly around 1/3 of our business, the Makhana in general, raw Makhana and flavored Makhanas. Outside this, we have a lot of products which are made out of dry fruits and nuts. We are a healthy snacking brand, so every product is basically a healthier for you product and much better in taste. So we have a product called Panch Meva, which is a mix of 5 different dry fruits, including dates, almonds, cashews, green raisins, black raisins, etc. Then we have a product called Date Bites, which is zero sugar, zero added sugar basically, and completely made out of the paste of dates. We import dates from different nations for this, and then we add basically different dry fruits into this. So even you can consume it, you can have indulgent movements, yet you are not adding any added sugar in your diet. Similarly, we have a munchies in which we make makhana powder, and with that powder we make very tasty lip snacking sticks, which are very tasty and come in different flavors, etc. So we have 4 or 5 different hero product categories. Some of them I just named. All these hero products are just entered the market and they are barely scratching the surface. So while new products will continue to come, because every independent consumer has a very different taste and affinity to what they want to snack. Some people only want to snack bhujiyas, so we might want to come up with a healthier version for bhujiyas, right? So we would also want to come up with multiple variants in healthier for you chocolates, for example. So while we will come into different new categories, I think even in the existing categories we are barely scratching the surface. So the potential and the pace at which the Indian healthy snacking is growing is far outpacing even the competition growth. So we can just focus on these categories and probably achieve those target numbers that you were mentioning about.
Right. Coming back to Makhana, we also know that we are exporting to certain countries, and there are only few players like Farmley, and there are several others who are existent in this segment. Do you feel that there is a scope for growth and more players can come in as far as Makhana industry is concerned? Because I think this Makhana is not completely tapped as the kind of cultivation we have in Bihar. Do you feel that there is a headroom for growth for a lot of more players to come in, and you also have a headroom for like substantial growth going forward, riding on the back of Makhana?
So that is true, because it's a decently fragmented market, which basically means that as of today, if you probably ask someone what is one flavored Makhana brand you consume, you probably out of 100 people, you will still not listen to more than 10 people calling the same name, which means that everybody consumes a different brand as of now. So there's a lot of space and lot of brand vacuum which still exists, which means that a lot of new brands can potentially come into this picture. There will be consolidation eventually happening. So there will be probably one person or one company which will be occupying a majority share in other companies, but there's a still decent space for a lot of long tail brands to kind of coexist, because there's not a lot of entry barrier in the market. Anybody who can procure good quality makhana, and it is easy to procure. You go to Bihar, you will find a number of vendors who kind of sell good quality makhanas to you, and then you need the facility to roast it and flavor it, and even the roasting and flavoring is a decently contractualized process today. So if you have the raw makhanas, you can, even within Delhi NCR, you can go to n number of people, ask them to roast and flavor those makhanas for you, and they will be able to do that for you. So making a flavored makhana is not a very rocket science today, which basically means it is the distribution and the taste and the recipes that you need to solve for. So where we stand out, for example, as a brand is, our recipes are tailor-made, our product quality is tailor-made, we have our own facility, we have a lot of efficiency, we have a lot of procurement strength. So all those things basically come into picture. But as long as a brand can solve for that, I think there's a good headspace for multiple brands to coexist.
Right. Also, my last question I'm coming to is also about makhana, because Bihar is a state which I think have not completely reaped the benefit of industrialization, liberalization or economic development, as if I may say. Do you feel that makhana is going to be a game changer, and do you have any number in the mind as to how this will lead to the Bihar's economic development?
See, that's true. So, and in fact, the government is even working on it. So we are in a matter of probably a couple of weeks now shifting to a factory, a plug and play facility within Bihar, which is made by Bihar Industrial Area Development Authority, where they have given us a decent space, and where we'll be processing our makhana. So I think, and that is happening because the government also understands that there's a lot of output that can be basically taken out from makhanas as a product, right? So if everything is done right, I think potentially the industry could be a multi-billion-dollar industry based out of Bihar, completely driving makhana's economy. Two things that need to be done right for it. One is there's a urgent need to automate the makhana propping process, because if that happens, that will ensure that not just Purnia, multiple other areas are able to grow makhanas. And that also will mean that a lot of revenue, which is currently not coming because the prices have gone up, will effectively start to come in the state's economy. And secondly, I think in terms of the export development, in terms of the overall product knowledge, etc., those things are already happening by the nature of the product. So you don't even have to put additional efforts into making that happen. So just if these two things happen, I think it could be a multi-billion-dollar industry potentially in just the coming few years, not even decades, I'm saying.
We hope, and I think we will interact later on at that point when we will see a substantial and significant growth as far as makhana in Bihar is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us and sparing time out. Thank you.
Thank you.